What's up, everyone? It's Bones here. I'd like to begin this video by giving a huge shout out to TCG Player for the opportunity to be a part of their affiliate program. If you want to help a content creator out, all you have to do is click on the TCG Player link down below, and it won't cost you anything either. In Phantom Nightmare, we got a couple of new cards for Gate Guardian that do strengthen the deck, but in this video, I'm first going to go over some options that you can play before going over my build and what I plan on doing for the Gate Guardian strategy. And the first combo is going to feature the Shadow Ghoul plus the Labyrinth Heavy Tank, and we're going to start with the Ghoul so that we can get ourselves the Labyrinth Wall, use the Labyrinth Wall effect as soon as we activate it so that we can get ourselves Sangha, then normal summon Tank, use the effect of Tank, and get our Kazajan. Now keep in mind, you can go for any of the 2 material fusion Gate Guardian monsters that you would like to at this point, but for this specific video, I'm just going to go into the Sangha and the Kazajan fusion. I think it's the Thunder and Wind, and we're then going to use its effect, which will grab ourselves the first new card that we have here, Dark Element. It's a normal spell card that reads, if you have a Gate Guardian monster in your graveyard, pay half your life points, special summon 111 or higher Gate Guardian monster from your hand, deck, or extra deck, ignoring its summoning condition. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add one of your Sangha, Kazajan, or Suijin from your deck or banished to your hand. You can only use each effect of Dark Element once per turn. Now, in order to get this off, we're going to have to link away our Gate Guardian fusion along with the Heavy Tank into SP Little Knight, activate the Dark Element, and then we can get ourselves access into the Dark Guardian, which is the second card that we got in Phantom Nightmare. It's a level 12 that reads, this card is always treated as a Gate Guardian card, cannot be normal summon set, must either be special summoned by Dark Element or a special summon from your hand or graveyard by shuffling into the deck one of your Sangha, Kazajan, and Suijin that is in your hand, face up field, and or banished. Cannot be destroyed by battle, and if this card is special summoned by the effect of Dark Element, it is unaffected by other monster effects or your opponent's activated spell cards or effects. And that's the important effect that this card has, that it makes it a pseudo type of towers. Obviously not as good, but some decks will really struggle to out this thing. So another way that we can do it is the A Hero Lives featuring the Heavy Tank, and we're going to use the A Hero Lives in order to get our Prisma. Prisma will then be able to send a material to the graveyard, as we'll send the Sangha, we'll then turn it into Sangha so that we can normal summon our Heavy Tank, get access into our Kazajan, then as you saw before, go into the Thunder and Wind, get ourselves Dark Element, link away into SP Little Knight, then activate the Dark Element, and from here we can get ourselves the Dark Guardian, or you can even get yourself the Gate Guardians combined. You'll notice that I won't be featuring Heavy Tank for the rest of this video, and the reason being is that I just don't really like it too much as a card. It consumes your normal summon. If it gets hand trapped, it's just a body that does nothing. If you play multiples, it clogs in hand. So now I'm going to start getting you into the other option. One cool but kind of gimmicky way that you can get into the Dark Guardian is Nadir Servant. Well, in this case, you won't be able to get into the Gate Guardians combined because of Nadir Servant, but we're then going to be able to add ourselves the Fleur de Lis. We'll then be able to get ourselves the Dark Element since we have the Gate Guardians combined in the graveyard for the Dark Guardian, and now we have ourselves the ability to either end on a punishment or we have the Dark Guardian, which is a pseudo towers, and then we have the ability to add a card via the Dark Element as we'll get ourselves the Sangha. Now this is the last option before I get onto the test hands, and the reason it's the last option is because I feel this is the option. So we're going to start here with Imseti, and we're going to use its effect pitching the Dark Element, get ourselves the King Sarcophagus along with a draw, and you can see where the synergy comes here pretty quick, where if you can pitch a Gate Guardian spell trap that happens to search one of your Gate Guardian pieces, it gets you a bunch of resources for your King Sarcophagus, along with the spell and traps themselves being great discards for the King Sarcophagus, or Ascends, whatever, but we'll then be able to send the Suijin to the graveyard for the Happy. We'll then use the effect of the King Sarcophagus again to send the water one. I would like to keep in mind, you can either go for the Zombie Vampire here, or you can go for the Coach King. The cool thing about the Zombie Vampire is that I am on a heavier spell trap Gate Guardian count. We do that so that we can go into our Zombie Vampire, try to mill those, add pieces to our hand, or even special summon them if we happen to hit them off the Zombie Vampire. But from here we're then going to be able to go into our Coach King. We're going to draw 3 random some cards. Keep in mind that I did put the 2 talents and the imperm on top of my deck, so I'm not going to draw anything good here. That said, there is a lot that you can do from this point depending on what you draw, and even if you don't draw anything like I won't now, you can pitch a talent or whatever you draw, and then send the 4th name so that you can go into your SP Little Knight. And I know that it's not a lot, and the SP Little Knight alone is going to get you ran over this format. It's not a great format for Gate Guardian overall, as the fire decks just feel a little bit too strong for it, though there is still cool ways that you can play it, which is why I made this video. So for the first test hand, we're going to start with 2 names in hand. We then have one of our quick play spells along with access to 2 field spells. So we're then going to start here by activating the Terraforming. We won't play around draw whatsoever, as we're going to get ourselves the Imperial Tomb. We'll then be able to use its effect in order to get ourselves the Imseti, put back a name, use the effect of the Imseti, pitching a Gate Guardian spell, as we'll then be able to add the King Sarcophagus, use the effect of the Gate Guardian quick play spell in the graveyard to get ourselves the Suasion again, as we'll then be able to activate the King Sarcophagus, send the Mudora from hand, as you'll see that we are playing the Mudora, reason being that we play the Horus along with the King Sarcophagus, and then you just have a lot of ways to pitch from hand, but then you also have the Zombie Vampire, which can mill them as well, and I did want better mills in this deck, but we're then going to be able to send 2 more names here, as we'll then activate the Labyrinth Wall. We'll then use the effect of the Labyrinth Wall, which will be able to get us into the Sangha, and now because we have all 3 names, we can go into our Gate Guardians combined, and the really cool thing about this is that now our Coach King or the Zombie Vampire will be protected by Imperm or Veiler, just because our combined can banish or negate up to 3 cards that target a card that we control. So we're going to use the effect of the Coach King now, which will get us 3 draws. We hit a Goods, which isn't bad. We then hit a Shadow Ghoul, and that's actually really nice, because with the Goods, it means that we just have so much now. The Dark Element is not going to be something that we probably use this turn, but we'll activate the Shadow Ghoul. We'll then be able to bring back the Imseti, go into the SP Little Knight, activate the Goods. We'll send the Rainbow Bridge, which I am playing because it's something that you can send off of Imseti or the King Sarcophagus, get access into one of your field spells this way. Then we'll be able to activate the Labyrinth Wall, get ourselves a name, then activate the other copy of Labyrinth Wall, get ourselves another name. In this case, I'm just going to get ourselves access into the Spell and Trap Negate, which will give us 2 Spell and Trap Negate. We then have the SP Little Knight for the interruption on our opponent's turn, along with the targeting protection that we get via the 3 negations from combined. But then we also have the field spell, which will destroy an opponent's monster at the start of their battle phase. So it is an effect that does target, and they do need to be 1600 or lower. But then we also have the Shadow Ghoul that we used earlier in this turn, as well as the Mudora that we pitched for some extra interruptions, which is just really cool how out of nothing you can just get a bunch of disruptions, and I thought that was pretty nice. But then we also have the Dark Element, which becomes follow-up for your next turn, getting yourselves into that Pseudo Towers once one of your Gate Guardian monsters hit the graveyard, and then you can activate it on your next turn. Also have all the Horus follow-up, which can just stack for a lot of damage, and then the rank 8 capabilities that you have so that you can potentially play around some of your opponent's stuff. Now, for the final hand, you'll see that we are on the Black Goat Laughs along with the Keldo as well, and these are just other mills or sends that you can benefit off of your Horus engine with, and the Black Goat Laughs is just great because you can potentially break boards this way as well. But we're then going to be able to use the King Sarcophagus. We'll send the Happy, as we'll then be able to use the King Sarcophagus again, send the Water one. We'll then be able to revive 2 or 3 depending on if you want to go for Coach King or the Zombie Vampire. It really depends on your hand, but we're now going to go into the Coach King because we don't have an opponent, so we can't resolve our Zombie Vampire, as we're then going to use its effect, which will give us the ability to draw 3. We don't get 8 draws here, I don't think, as we do hit the Dark Guardian, which wasn't a great draw whatsoever. And from here, we're then going to get the Shadow Ghoul, use the effect of Shadow Ghoul, get ourselves the Labyrinth Wall. We can then activate the Labyrinth Wall, as we'll get ourselves a name. From here, we'll then be able to activate the other copy of Labyrinth Wall, get ourselves another name, as we'll get ourselves access into the Thunder and Wind, use the effect of the Thunder and Wind, and because we have the Dark Guardian in hand, we can go into the SP Little Knight, link away the Thunder and Wind along with the Coach King. Then we can special summon out the Dark Guardian via the Dark Element, and pass on to our opponent with the Pseudo Towers, the SP Little Knight, the Shadow Ghoul Disruption in Graveyard, along with the Labyrinth Wall having the potential pop during the start of your opponent's battle phase, the Horus follow-up, and if you do happen to draw better than talents, then you also have potential disruptions in your hand. So with all of the combos out of the way, we can get onto the deck profile, and it's pretty straightforward in regards to what I wanted to do here. As the Horus cards, I'm just playing as many as I can outside of the field spell, just because I want to be able to send cards from my hand and deck to the graveyard via Zombie Vampire, or via the King Sarcophagus and the Imseti. That being said, that's why we play 6 or 7 copies actually of spell traps of the Gate Guardian archetype that we can send to the graveyard so that we can search our Gate Guardian monsters. And the other cool thing about this is that because we're on so many of the Gate Guardian spell traps, that we're only playing one of each Suijin, Kazujin, and Sangha, because we can banish them, get them back, and just be able to play less names while being able to recur your resources via an engine that you actually want to see. Now, you'll see some of the options here, like the Wind and Water, or the Thunder and Water, then the Labyrinth tank, which I already mentioned why I'm not playing the Fusion deployment, because I did not want to Fusion lock myself with the Horus archetype. Then you have the Nadir Servant package, which I feel would be better if the Nadir Servant were searchable for the Gate Guardian archetype. Unfortunately, it's not. Another thing that you can do for mills is the Shyama, which can destroy a Gate Guardian spell trap that you set, so that you can get the search for a Gate Guardian name, special summon the Shyama, and then if you do play the Mali for the extra mills, you can go into Beatrice plays. That said, you aren't milling like it's a tier limit deck, so I don't think it's really worth it right now. If we do get more mill cards, then it becomes a legitimate option in my opinion. Of course there's skill drain because we're summoning out a bunch of big monsters along with the Horus stuff, and then the Secret Village because of the Imseti, as well as playing the Rainbow Bridge along with the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. I also would like to point out that you see that I am on 1 Goat and 1 Rainbow Bridge. This could be 2 Bridge. I just wanted to show that you have the option to play both of them. All out of the way, I'll get onto the card by card, and we have the 3 Imseti, the 3 King Sarcophagus, the 3 Labyrinth Wall, the 3 Ghoul. We then have the 1 Jirai Gumo, which is just a name that you can banish for one of your Gate Guardian pieces, the Terraforming Dark Guardian. We then have the Imperial Tombs, the Water Horus, the Happy, the Earth Horus. We then have the Suijin, Kazujin, the Sangha. We then have the Double Attack. We then have the 2 copies of Riryoku, the 2 copies of Dark Elements. We then have the 3 Econs, which are just great with your Horus cards. We then have the 3 Talents, which might end up becoming something else. Then we do have the 1 copy of Foolish Burial Goods, the 1 copy of Black Goat Lass, or the 2 copies of Rainbow Bridge, whichever you want to do. We then have the 1 Keldo, the 1 Mudora, and the 1 Crystal Dragon. Into the extra deck, we then have the BLS, which is just a really good card this format, even though there are ways to out it. That said, it does put your opponent on having the out, and it's really easy to make in this deck, especially with the protection, since all of your stuff really is level 7 or higher, besides the Ghoul, which you aren't summoning anyways. Then we also have the SP Little Knight. We then have the 2 Combined, the 2 Wind and Thunder. We then have the 2 Water and Wind. We then have the 1 Typhon, the 1 Zeus, the 1 Coach King, the 1 Zombie Vampire, the Hope Harbinger, the Photon Lord, and Girsu. Pretty much all stuff for the Horus cards. That'll wrap up the deck profile. So for everyone who's made it this far, I'd like to thank you for watching and for the 700 plus subs. I truly appreciate your support, and now that we've monetized the channel, giving us access to supers and memberships means that more awesome stuff is on the horizon. To get the channel membership, just click on the description below and there will be a link that takes you there. You'll also notice a free Discord link that I've made for us too. If you want to support me as a content creator, even if you can't donate supers or get a membership for the channel, clicking on those thumbs up and subscribe buttons help a lot too. For those wondering, I do plan on making updates to the channel as the support on the channel grows. Anyways, I hope to see you on the next one. It's Bones, signing out.